Good day, everyone. I am Mr. Chorcel Abenido, and today I will be sharing to you the topic Subject Specific Workshop. It is a comprehensive information and materials for experienced educators in those subject areas to fully familiarize themselves with new changes in teaching approaches. Let's start with the first one spellings. These are strategies to enable children to learn, write, and remember spellings correctly. Here are some spelling strategies. Let's start with phonetic spelling strategies. Phonics is the perfect place to start. When done correctly, phonics teaches a child how to listen for each sound in a word and then how to represent each sound with a letter or combination of letters. The ability to hear the individual sounds in words is called segmenting. To know more about segmenting, let's watch this short video.
When we speak, we blend sounds together quickly to form words. To say the word ham, for instance, we blend the sounds h, a, m. Segmenting is the opposite of blending. When we segment a word, we say each individual sound separately. A student who can segment words into basic sounds can spell much more easily. We teach segmenting with colored tokens, but you can use coins or pieces of paper just as well. As students say each sound, they pull down a token. A, m. I want to point out that in this segment, your student is not writing the word. They're orally segmenting the word using the tokens to represent each sound. We start with short words that have initial sounds that are easy to hold, like see and may. These words are easier for your student to segment the words into their individual sounds. We continue with words that aren't as easy to hold, like g, o, k, e, and p, I. Have you ever tried to hold the letter K? I can't do it. After learning to segment words with 2 sounds, we can go on to words with 3 sounds, such as ship, sh, I, p. Segmenting is used throughout the All About Spelling program. It helps your student learn to hear the sounds of individual words, including multisyllabic words such as pumpkin. So each sound can be represented with written letters. As you can see, segmenting words into basic sounds makes spelling a whole lot easier.
Okay, after learning how to segment, your student will represent each sound in a word with a letter or letter combination, also known as phonograms. Phonograms include the letters of the alphabet A to Z, as well as the combinations such as CK for the sound K, SH for the sound SH, and OW for the sound OW. Cow has 2 sounds, so it represented by 2 phonograms, K and the OW, cow. Let's proceed to the strategy number 2, rule-based spelling strategies. Though hundreds of words can be spelled phonetically, there are often several possible spellings for the same sound. The sound of J can be spelled as J, G, or DGE. For example, and that's when knowing some rules comes in handy. The Kids Club rule is a great example of a reliable spelling rule. To know more about the Kids Club rule, let's watch this short video.
The Kids Club rule explains when to use C or K at the beginning of a word, as in keep, camp, and craft. Each of these will start with K, but how do you know whether to use C or K? If the C is followed by an E, I, or Y, it says S, 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 S. If the C is before any other letter, it says K. Now I want to spell the word kid. I don't know whether to use C or K, so I put in a blank blue tile for the sound. We always try the C first. Does C work?
No,
Why not?
because the C says S when it's in front of the letter I.
What would this word say then?
Sid.
So now we know that we have to use the K to spell kid. Let's try another. I want to spell the word club. Remember, we try the C first. Does C work?
Yes,
Great! What does this word say?
club.
Here's an easy way to remember whether to try the C or K first. C comes first in the alphabet, and K comes second. This is the same order in which you treat the letters when building a word. So that's the Kids Club rule. This rule is reliable for tens of thousands of words. Happy spelling!
Okay, this rule helps you determine whether to use C or K for the sound K at the beginning of the words, such as kitchen or camp. The third one is the visual spelling strategies. Sometimes phonics and spelling rules aren't enough. This is where visual spelling strategies come in. Does the word look right? Good spellers often try spelling a word several ways to see which way looks correct. This is why we use the word banks in all about spelling programs. Each word bank focuses on one concept, such as the sound of ER or spelled UR, and helps build the student's visual memory of words related to that particular concept. Example of these words are blur, blurb, blurt, burger, burn, burp. After becoming familiar with UR words, the word nurse, spelled as NERSE, will look wrong, prompting your child to correct her own work. Visual memory is important when it comes to correctly using homophones too, like pray and pray or tail and tail. Extensive reading and word games are huge help in building visual memory. So here are some examples of word games. Word games in building visual memory. First, we have the drug race, the pirate ship file folder game, the popcorn party, the bingo smash up. So I already provided the links for you to be downloaded on the net. For example, is the drug race game. Just copy the link that I provided, then go to your browser and search for it. So this game could really help our students to build their visual memory. So there are instructions, how to play for reading, how to play for spelling. The fourth one is the morphemic spelling strategies. Morphemes are the smallest units of meaning. Morphemes include roots and base words, prefixes, and suffixes, as in the word invisible. In for not, vis for not to see, able for able to be. An understanding of morphology helps kids spell words, like knowledge and action, even though the base words know and act change pronunciation. That's why All About Spelling teaches words with Greek and Latin roots, how to add prefixes and suffixes to base words, and how to form compound words and abbreviations. So here is a screen capture on how you can download a free material on the word tree activities. Same process, just go to your browser and copy this link below. So there are instructions, tips, and of course, sample materials for you to use. So now let's proceed to the letter B, which is the science is looking, doing, concluding. Let each science class be an active, exciting journey for children. Experience science all around you through activity-based workshops. Understanding and using the scientific method. But what is scientific method? Scientific method is a process used to design and perform experiments. It's important to minimize experimental errors and bias and increase confidence in the accuracy of your results. The scientific method is a logical and rational order of steps by which scientists come to conclusions about the world around them. The scientific method helps to organize thoughts and procedures so that scientists can be confident in the answers they find. Let's start with the first one, observation. Observation is the first step so that you know how you want to go about your research. This step could also be called research. It is the first stage in understanding the problem. After you decide on topic and narrow it down to a specific question, you will need to research everything that you can find about it. You can collect information from your own experiences, books, and the internet, or even smaller unofficial experiments. The next stage of the scientific method is known as the hypothesis. This word basically means a possible solution to a problem based on knowledge and research. The hypothesis is a simple statement that defines what you think the outcome of your experiment will be. All of our first stage of the scientific method, the observation or research stage, is designed to help you express a problem in a single question and propose an answer to the question based on what you know. The experiment that you will design is done to test the hypothesis. The third one is prediction. Prediction is your specific belief about the scientific idea. If my hypothesis is true, then I predict we will discover this. Your prediction lets you get specific. How will you demonstrate that your hypothesis is true? The experiment that you will design is done to test the prediction. An important thing to remember during this stage of scientific method is that once you develop a hypothesis and a prediction, you shouldn't change it, even if the result of your experiment show that you were wrong. An incorrect prediction doesn't not mean that you failed. It just means that the experiment brought some new facts to light that maybe you hadn't thought about before. The fourth step is experiment. Experiment is the tool that you invent to answer the question, and this is the part of the scientific method that tests your hypothesis. An experiment is a tool that you design to find out if your ideas about your topic are right or wrong. It is absolutely necessary to design a science fair experiment that will accurately test your hypothesis. The experiment is the most important part of the scientific method. It's the logical process that lets scientists learn about the world. Last step is conclusion. Conclusion is the answer that the experiment gives. The final step in the scientific method is the conclusion. This is a summary of the experiment's results and how those results match up to your hypothesis. You can have two options for your conclusions based on your results. It's either you can reject the hypothesis or you cannot reject the hypothesis. This is an important point. You cannot prove the hypothesis with a single experiment because there is a chance that you made an error somewhere along the way. What you can say is that your results support the original hypothesis. If your original hypothesis didn't match up the final results of your experiment, don't change the hypothesis. Instead, try to explain that might have been wrong with your original hypothesis. What information were you missing when you made your prediction? What are the possible reasons the hypothesis and experimental results didn't match up? Remember, a science fair experiment isn't a failure simply because it does not agree with the hypothesis. No one will take points off if your prediction wasn't accurate. Many important scientific discoveries were made as a result of experiments gone wrong. So now, how can we let each science class be an active, exciting journey for our children? That is through science activity-based workshop. I will show you a science activity-based workshop video that your students can do in the comfort of their homes.
In just 3 easy steps, you'll be able to flash freeze a bottle of water just by touching it. Wow, that's cool. Huh. Make sure to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to Spacebound for more top 10 videos every day. Turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Leave a friendly comment and I'll make sure to reply to every single one of you. Hi and welcome to Spacebound, where today we'll be looking at 25 of the coolest science experiments you and your kids can do at home. Number 25, crystal egg geodes. If you're ever looking for colorful rock decorations, for some reason, here's a little something something. First, poke a hole in the shell to release its contents. Then use scissors to cut the eggshell in half. Next, coat the inner shell with glue and alum powder. Then, in a container, mix 2 cups of very warm water with 3 cups alum powder and 30 drops of your desired color. Lastly, let your egg sit at the bottom of the cup with your solution for 15 hours and you've got yourself some beautiful crystal eggshells. Number 24, glowing bubbles. This one is relatively simple to do, though your results may vary depending on what form of glowing liquid you use. If, for example, you pick to use glow sticks, it'll last around 20 minutes, and all you need to do is mix it with your bubble solution, so dish soap will do if you've got that laying around just randomly. Number 23, leftovers. You'll never have to buy vegetables again. Well, some if you actually bother doing this. It's a great money saver though and teaches your kids about vegetation and farming. For example, place the root of your lettuce in the glass of water for roughly around a week and transfer over to soil. The same goes for scallions. Place into water for a couple of days and transfer to soil if you want to, but not exactly necessary. And for onions, plant in the center of soil and water regularly. Pretty basic stuff, but really awesome results. Number 22, magnetic cereal. If you didn't know already, cereal is a great source of iron, and some cereals with high amounts of iron include Honey Bunches of Oats, Kellogg's, Cheerios, and even Chex. All are great for this experiment. It's a 50-50 chance this will work for you, but if you place a magnet over a piece of cereal floating in the water, you can manipulate the cereal to follow the magnet because iron is metal, just in case you didn't know. Number 21, green money. It's not what you think. You're literally just...
Okay, if you want to see more of it, just go to youtube.com and search or use these links that I provided. Letter C, language development the natural way. Joy of knowing and using a language is the key to learning the language. What is the natural approach to language learning? The natural approach is a language learning theory developed by Dr. Stephen Krashen of USC and Tracy Terrell of the University of California, San Diego. The theory is based on the radical notion that we all learn language in the same way. The term natural almost presupposes that there are unnatural methods of learning a language. To Drs. Krashen and Terrell, these are the structural approaches to learning, the grammar method that deconstructs a language into its component pieces, and the listen and repeat drills that happen in classrooms. Language learning tips. First one is don't learn the language, acquire it. The first thing to notice in the natural approach is that there's an important difference between learning the language and acquiring the language, and it all has to do with the activities. Number 2, break the rules early, make mistakes often. Now, don't take all that's been said before. This means that the grammar doesn't matter at all, or that you should never correct the initial mistakes you make. For sure, you're going to do a lot of correcting, but at this point, Grammar doesn't come early in the game. In fact, it comes quite late in the game when you've had plenty of experience with language. In the early stages of picking up a language, you have to be open to making plenty of mistakes and looking foolish. That means opening your mouth even when you're not sure if you got the correct pronunciation or accent right, or even when you're not confident of your words you wanted to say. You'll make mistakes, that's for sure, and you'll have to be indifferent to those mistakes. I'm making mistakes, so what? The world doesn't end when you commit a boo-boo, even when you come out looking foolish. You're going to have to be okay about committing them. The wrong pronunciation, wrong conjugations, wrong noun genders, wrong usage, wrong meaning, wrong translations, and etc. Don't be ashamed of your mistakes. But hey, don't celebrate them either. They're just there. They come with the territory, no big deal. A practical thing you can do is to get some conversation practice online with a native speaker. For example, on one of the most popular language exchange sites. You can Skype somebody who'll be very open to teaching you and listening to your barbarized his native tongue. He'll find your mistakes cute and be glad that you expressed an interest in his native language. Don't pretend to be someone you're not. Tell him if you're an absolute beginner. Honestly, honesty is a powerful anxiety killer and you must absolutely be honest with your partner. Number 3. Get exposure to different situations with different senses. Going to a country to acquire its national language only works when you're actually exposing yourself to a myriad of available experiences in the country of choice. A change in geography won't do you any good if you only keep to yourself or associate exclusively with fellow English speakers and commune in English-speaking enclaves. But the thing is, you don't even have to up and leave just to get exposed and immersion. You can get yourself exposed to language as if you're living abroad. Getting a language learning partner is one method for doing this and was already pointed out earlier. Number 4. Work with materials that suit your level. Nobody would hand a physics book to a toddler, right? One of the strategies that befall many who try to acquire a language is that they use the wrong materials for their level. When someone gives up on a language, you usually hear one of these excuses. The audio was too fast, I couldn't understand a word in the book, the sentences are too long, I didn't have enough time to digest what my partner was saying. It doesn't mean that the language is too hard or a person is too slow. They didn't stand a chance because the material they got exposed to were too advanced and to be remotely meaningful to them at the stage of learning. It became gibberish and had no place in the memory to be anchored in. Number 5. Make the road to fluency stress-free. There are people who thrive on pressure. These are your Tiger Woods, your Michael Jordans, and your Steven Spielbergs. They require pressure to really shine. If there's no pressure to be found, they push themselves in order to extract that special performance, that special shot that only they can deliver. These people aren't the norm. For sure, some amount of stress or anxiety is constructive, especially in fields like medicine, law, and business. But in the phenomenon of language acquisition, our friend Dr. Stephen Krashen asserts that anxiety should be zero or as low as possible. For language to be successfully acquired, motivation must not only be high, but anxiety must also be low. Otherwise, all the languages or the language inputs we've talked about earlier will find no home in the brain of a person. Now let's move on to letter D. Make math a pleasure to teach and exciting to learn. Activities that connect math to real life. So here are real-world math activities to teach the importance of numbers. First is the timetables. Between music lessons, sports, homeworks, playdates, and family time, our students have plenty to organize. Show them how to divide up the hours in a day and set aside blocks of time for each commitment. So that is very practical activity. Number two, goal setting. Specific and quantifiable goals are another opportunity to use numbers. Students can even create graphs to track them toward completion. This might be academic, example, improving grades by percentage, or co-curricular, example, adding up the pages of books read during the year to meet a target. Number three, pocket money planners. With many middle and high school students managing bank accounts, part-time jobs, and phone plans, developing financial literacy is another opportunity to use math in an authentic context. Number five, connect math to student interests. Nothing is more real to our students than the things they already know and love. And when you connect math to these personal interests, it becomes real too. Do you have a group of budding social media influencers in your class? Have them calculate a projected number of social media followers using exponential growth. Why not get sports funds to track the scores of their favorite players or teams, and then calculate means, medians, averages, or trends? And let's not forget about the gamers in the class. Next time they're geeking out, they can add up experience points, virtual money spent, or the total scores. And lastly, use real-life examples. Up the game by using a physical real-world resource in or out of the classroom during your instruction. Let's say you're teaching patterns. Instead of working from a worksheet, you can use something as simple as a brick wall or a pavers outside as an authentic demonstration of patterns in action. So here are the collections of real-world math activities. So we have math goodies, practical uses of math and science, mixing in math, real-world applications of arithmetic, money match, national math trail. So I already put the links for you to see. We have the real online math activities with a specific focus, like real world math, FEMA disaster master, NOAA weather education, math architecture, plain math, music through the curriculum. So we have math collaboration from the CIESE collaborative projects, Math Forum collaborative projects, National Association of Math circles. So we have more real-world math ideas at Education World. We have tracking falling temperatures. What did it cost 100 years ago? So here is the screen capture on how you can open or on how it looks. So this is the site. So you can just click one or like the math goodies. Then it will give you the lessons, the worksheets, the math puzzles, math videos, games, math award certificates. So example, you will open the lessons there, and of course, games to make it more interactive. Example, you will open the rolling dice probability game, whatever games related to your lesson for the day. And you can play the game with your students. Let's proceed to the letter E, unravel the mystery of history. If history is exciting, is what you want the children to say, this workshop shows you simple but extremely effective way to make history a fun one. Ways to make history fun. Number one, share your sources. Ask your audience questions and get them looking at the evidence. Let's move on to letter E, unravel the mystery of history. If history is exciting is what we want the children to say, this workshop shows you simple but extremely effective way to make history fun. Ways to make history fun. First, share your sources. Ask your audience questions and get them looking at the evidence. What we do should never be about is just giving kids the answers. It needs to be more about giving kids problems to solve. Help them gather and organize evidence and then let them struggle a bit. So give your kids more data, more evidence, more primary and secondary sources, more ambiguity. Number two, make a personal connection. So history has to be relevant to our students. Too often, kids don't see the connection between then and now, them and us. So, if possible, let's relate our generation from their generation or relate the then from now. Number three, introduce the unexpected. There is power in the unexpected. Different is good, weird is better. So, our kids or the students really find weird stuff something explosive, like to cracked up, or they can advise them to go to a library or to find for a very old mad magazine or online magazine. Number four, never forget people's stories. So history is about stories and emotions. The stuff has to be real. So connect kids to actual people and the decisions that they had to make. Advise them to go to reliable sites that tells biographies, that tells the background or the history of that person. Number five, find ways to convey your joy. So if you're a historian, you no doubt love the detective work of research, analyzing sources and putting the piece of puzzle together, forming interpretations and drawing conclusions. So we need to find ways to convey this enjoyment to our kids. It's okay to be passionate about what we do. Lastly, letter F, geography is all around. A workshop which shows teachers how geography is best learned through events, landmarks, and experiences all around us. And for us teachers to make it possible, and of course easy, I have here lessons for teaching geographic literacy. So example is where in the world. So this is the link for this site. So this is the screen capture. So just copy the link, go to your browser, and search for it. It will give you the subjects, the grades, the brief description, the objectives, the keywords, the materials needed, the lesson plan, and of course the assessments. For example, you'll click a specific assessment for grades 3 to 4, then click the link. It will redirect you to a PDF activity or assessment. So just download the file, and this is how it looks. Okay. So this is for free. You can use it and give this to your students. So same as to some other activities that I will show you later on. Here we have some more. We have a world of information. So here's the link. Where did food originate? The branding of America in your state, and the globe game. So this is all for free, and you can download all the resources and materials by clicking these links. Okay, for the summary, we've learned about spellings, strategies to enable children to learn, write, and remember spellings correctly. Science is looking, doing, concluding. Let each science class be an active, exciting journey for children. Experience science all around you through activity-based workshops. Letter C, language development. The natural way, joy of knowing and using a language is the key to learning the language. Make the math a pleasure to teach and exciting to learn. Activities that connect math to real life. Unravel the mystery of history. If history is exciting, is what you want the children to say, this workshop shows you simple but extremely effective way to make history fun. And lastly, geography is all around. A workshop which shows teacher how geography is best learned through events, landmarks, and experiences all around us. So for your online reference, hello, this is the end of my presentation. I hope you've learned something from today's class. Keep safe and thank you for listening.